You know that old saying, the law is the law? It sounds so final, doesn't it? So absolute. But what happens if a law, one that's been passed and put on the books, is just, well, fundamentally unfair? That's the huge question we're going to dig into today as we explore a school of thought that asks what makes a law not just official, but actually just. So let's just get right to it with the big one. Is a law still a real law if it's fundamentally unjust? I mean, this question really challenges how we think about rules in society, doesn't it? And it's the exact problem that the Ethical School of Jurisprudence was built to tackle. All right, let's get into it. You see, a lot of legal systems just focus on what the law is, the rules written down by the government. It's kind of that because I said so approach. But the ethical school looks at that and says, hold on a second, that is not good enough. It forces us to ask a much deeper and way more important question. And this is that deeper approach. The Ethical School of Jurisprudence doesn't really care about the law just as it's written. Its whole point is to hold our laws up against something bigger, a universal standard of what's right and what's just. At the end of the day, it's not about what the law is, it's about what the law ought to be. This whole idea really comes down to two key concepts. First, you've got lex lata. That's just a fancy Latin way of saying the law as it exists. The rules on the books, flaws and all. But the ethical school is absolutely obsessed with the other side, lex ferenda, or the law as it ought to be. That's the ideal, the North Star of justice. The whole game is to constantly measure the reality against that ideal and ask, okay, so how do we close that gap? So the bottom line here is that for this way of thinking, law has one main job, to deliver justice. And that means an unjust law isn't just a bad law, it's a defective one. It's like a tool that's completely broken. This viewpoint demands that we're always putting our laws under an ethical microscope, making sure we're focused on the real goals, like justice and equality, and not just on whether a rule is being followed. So where did all this come from? Well, these aren't exactly new ideas. They've got deep roots with brilliant thinkers like Immanuel Kant and Hegel. But to really wrap our heads around how it works today, we're going to zero in on a giant from the 20th century who gave us an amazing new tool for thinking about all this. And that thinker is John Rawls. What he did in the 20th century was totally revolutionize this conversation. He came up with this brilliant thought experiment that was designed to help us figure out the basic principles of a truly fair society. So think about it. How do you figure out what's a really fair without letting all your own personal biases get in the way? Well, Rawls invites us to try a little thought experiment. He asks us to just imagine that we get to design a whole society, right from the very beginning. He calls this starting point the original position. Just picture it. You're in a big meeting with a bunch of other reasonable people. Your job? Write the basic rules for the new society that all of you are about to join. Simple enough, right? Well, there's a really important catch. And that catch is called the veil of ignorance. And honestly, this is the absolute core genius of his whole idea. So how in the world does this veil of ignorance work? Well, while you're in that meeting designing the rules, this imaginary veil comes down, and suddenly you have no idea who you're going to be in this new world. You don't know if you'll be rich or poor, healthy or sick, part of the majority or minority. You know absolutely nothing about your own future. So facing that total uncertainty, what kind of rules would you make? You'd be forced to pick rules that are fair to everybody because, hey, you might just end up being the least fortunate person in the very society you're creating. Now, Rawls was absolutely convinced that if you put any rational person in that situation, in that state of perfect fairness, they would all, every single one of them, agree on the exact same set of basic principles to run society. And get this, out of that whole complex thought experiment, Rawls says everything boils down to just two fundamental principles. Not a massive, complicated legal code, just a simple but incredibly powerful two-part blueprint for a just world. And here they are. First, and this is the most important one, you have the liberty principle. It basically guarantees everybody the most freedom they can possibly have. We're talking freedom of speech, of conscience, the basics, so long as it doesn't get in the way of other people's freedom. That's the foundation. It's non-negotiable. And only after that's totally locked in do we move to the second one, the difference principle. And this one's pretty radical. It says that, yeah, you can have social and economic inequality, but it's only okay if that system is set up to help the people at the very bottom the most. In other words, a rising tide has to lift the lowest boats first. So what's the big takeaway here? This isn't just some abstract exercise for a philosophy class. Rawls's theory gives us a real, rational tool we can use.
We can take our own laws on everything from human rights to economic policy and just ask ourselves, would we have agreed to this from behind the veil of ignorance? It gives us a lens to really check how fair our world actually is.
And that brings us right to the final question, one I'm just going to leave with you. If you were in that original position, behind the veil with no idea who you were about to become, what is the one single rule you would absolutely insist on to make sure that society was a just one? Really think about it.